The box from nowhere Elia lived on a small red planet called Mars. She was 17, with sharp eyes and a quiet mind. Her home was a dusty mining colony where nothing exciting ever happened. Her job was simple: carry tools, clean machines, and follow orders. She never asked questions. Not anymore. Her father had died 5 years ago in a mining accident. At least that's what they told her. One cold evening while Elia was walking near the edge of the colony fence, something strange happened. A sound cracked across the sky. It was like thunder, but no clouds were there. She looked up and saw a burning light falling fast. It wasn't a meteor. It was a ship. The small ship slammed into the sand dunes beyond the fence. The ground shook and alarms began to ring in the distance. But Elia didn't run. Something inside her said, "Go now." So she did. She climbed the fence and made her way to the crash site. Smoke rose from the broken ship. Metal was bent, wires burned. A strange mark was on the side, like a wing inside a circle. Then she heard coughing. Someone was alive inside. Elia pushed through the hot wreckage. A man lay there, blood on his lips, armor cracked. He looked like a soldier, but not one from her colony. He held something wrapped in cloth. When he saw her, his eyes widened. He smiled, even though he was dying. "You look like him," he whispered. "Who?" Elia asked, kneeling beside him. "Your father," he said. "He saved my life. He died holding this." The man handed her the cloth-covered object. Her hands shook as she took it. "What is this?" she asked. The man coughed again. His voice was weak now. He said, "She's the one. If she accepts it, nothing can stop her." Elia stared at the bundle. It felt warm, like it was alive. "Wait," she said. "You knew my father?" "He died in a cave-in." "No," the man said. "He died fighting them. They're coming back." "Who's coming?" Elia asked, but he didn't answer. He was gone. Silence. Elia sat there, stunned, the cloth still in her hands. Slowly she unwrapped it. Inside was something strange. A long black object, part weapon, part machine. Glowing lines ran through it like veins. When she touched it, a soft hum filled the air. And then it spoke. Not with words, but with feeling. It felt like someone whispering in her mind, showing her flashes, stars, war, creatures with hollow eyes, and a man, her father, standing with this same weapon, holding it like it belonged to him. Elia dropped it, gasping. It didn't hit the ground. It floated. She backed away, heart racing. What was this thing? Before she could think more, she heard voices. "Guards from the colony. We saw the crash. Send a team." She panicked. They couldn't see her with the weapon. She didn't trust them. Suddenly, the weapon moved to her hand like it chose her. She grabbed it, wrapped it again, and ran. Back at her small room, hidden under metal walls and flickering lights, Elia sat on the floor. The weapon rested beside her, quiet now. She stared at it, thoughts spinning. "Your father died holding this," he said. "She's the one. Why her? And why now?" She thought about her father, his kind eyes, his quiet strength. He never talked about the past. Maybe he couldn't. Maybe he was protecting her. Elia picked up the weapon again. This time, it didn't scare her. It felt right. But the biggest question remained. Who was coming and what did they want with her? The Weapon Remembers night fell over the Mars colony, cold and silent. Winds moved the red dust like ghostly waves. But inside her small metal room, Elia could feel something burning. It wasn't the cold, and it wasn't fear. It was the weapon. She had wrapped it again in cloth and hidden it under her bed. But it hummed. Softly. Almost like it was breathing. Like it wanted her to notice it. Elia didn't sleep. She couldn't. Her mind was full of questions. Who was the dying soldier? How did he know her father? And what did he mean by, "They're coming back"? But one question haunted her the most. Why did the weapon choose her? The next morning, the colony was buzzing with news. People spoke in whispers about a ship crash. The guards had found nothing at the site. No pilot, no tech. Must have burned up, they said. Ilia stayed quiet. She said nothing. But inside, her world was breaking open. Later that day, when she was sure no one was watching, she returned to her room. She closed the door, locked it, and pulled out the weapon. The cloth fell away like mist. Ilia took a deep breath and reached out. The moment her fingers touched the weapon, it lit up. Slow pulses of blue light ran across its body. Symbols glowed along its edges. Strange alien symbols she didn't understand. Then her mind was pulled into something deeper. She didn't move, but it felt like she was falling. Visions flooded her. A battlefield. Fire. Skies full of dark ships. Soldiers in armor screaming orders. Creatures moved in the smoke. Tall, thin, with hollow eyes. The hollow. She felt that word like a whisper in her soul. Then she saw her father. Younger, stronger, holding this same weapon. He fought beside the dying soldier. They were outnumbered, and yet they fought like legends. Ilia gasped and pulled her hand away. The vision vanished. The weapon fell silent. She sat back, breathing hard. Her hands were shaking. The weapon didn't just show memories. It remembered them. "This isn't just a machine," she whispered. "It's alive." Just then her door beeped. Someone was outside. "Ilia?" a voice called. "Open up. Director Malix wants to see you." Her heart froze. Malix, the head of the colony. "Why now?" "Why?" she called back, trying to sound calm. "Routine check," the voice replied. "It won't take long." Ilia grabbed the weapon and stuffed it into her pack. Her hand brushed. Something new. An extra panel on the weapon. It had appeared during the vision. Carefully, she pressed it. A small screen popped out, glowing blue. A video message began to play. It was her father. Not a memory, an actual recording. "Ilia," he said, voice steady. "If you're seeing this, then I'm gone. And the weapon chose you." Ilia's eyes filled with tears. "This isn't just a weapon," he continued. "It's a key. And a warning. The hollow are not dead. They're only sleeping. And when they wake, they'll come for you. Knock, knock." Louder this time. "Open the door, Ilia." Her father's last words echoed. "Trust no one on the colony. No one." She moved fast, climbed out the back window, dropped into the dusty alley below and ran. Every second mattered now. She found Juno hiding behind the power station. Juno was a tech-smart boy her age, always in trouble, always watching. If anyone could help her decode the weapon, it was him. When she told him what happened, he didn't laugh. He didn't doubt. Instead, he looked more scared than she was. "I've seen that symbol before," Juno whispered. "On old colony files, files that were deleted. This weapon, your father, he was part of something bigger. Something hidden." "Can you unlock it?" Ilia asked. "Maybe," he said. "But if Malix is after you, then we don't have much time." They ran to an old abandoned comms tower outside the colony walls. It was dead tech, forgotten by everyone except Juno. Inside, dust covered the floors and broken screens blinked with static. Juno connected the weapon to an old console. Ilia watched as strange codes filled the screen. Then, a map appeared. A map of Mars. A red mark blinked in a desert zone far from the colony. Next to it, a label, Project Beacon, Site 09. "What's Project Beacon?" Ilia asked. "Something they tried to erase," Juno said. "But your father left you a path." Suddenly, the console went black. A loud noise echoed outside. Drones. "They found us," Juno whispered. Ilia grabbed the weapon. It came alive, again in her hands, brighter than before. "Then let them come," she said. The door exploded inward. Black armored soldiers rushed in. Aaliyah raised the weapon. And this time, it fired. The lies of the colony. The air in the comms tower turned black with smoke. The first soldier fell without a sound, burned by a wave of blue energy from the weapon in Aaliyah's hand. She had never used anything like this before. She didn't even know how to use it. Yet somehow it moved with her thoughts. The weapon wanted to protect her. Juno pulled her back behind a broken wall. "That was insane," he gasped. "You didn't even aim." "I didn't have to," Aaliyah said, still shaking. Outside, the remaining soldiers retreated. They weren't ready for what they just saw, and maybe they weren't meant to kill her. Maybe they were sent to capture her. Juno checked the console. Fried. They couldn't recover the data now, but the location they had seen, Project Beacon, Site 09, was burned into Aaliyah's mind. They had to get there, but first they needed answers. They returned to the colony at night, hiding in the shadows. Everything looked normal, but it felt different. People walked around like nothing was wrong, but guards were doubled. Drones hovered. Cameras moved more often. Malix knew she was still alive, and he was watching. Juno took Aaliyah to an old friend, Dr. Lena Vero, a retired geneticist who once worked for the colony's science division. She lived alone in the lower levels, where the dust never settled and the lights never worked right. When Lena saw Aaliyah, she froze. Her eyes went wide. "You're Darian's daughter." Aaliyah blinked. "You knew my father?" "We all did," Lena said, her voice tight. "He was one of the last good men in this place until they betrayed him." "What do you mean?" Aaliyah asked. Lena sighed and motioned them inside. Her home was filled with old tech, holograms, data pads, sealed boxes marked classified. She poured them both water and sat down. "Your father was part of Project Beacon," Lena said. "He didn't die in a mining accident." "That was a lie." Aaliyah felt her chest tighten. "Then how did he die?" "He found out what Beacon really was," Lena said. "He tried to shut it down, tried to hide the weapon. They sent soldiers after him. They called it a containment mission. They called him a traitor." Aaliyah didn't speak. Her hands were clenched. "What is Project Beacon?" Juno asked. Lena opened a dusty case and pulled out a hologram projector. She powered it on. A map of Mars lit up the room, glowing red. Project Beacon was a plan to use ancient alien tech found deep underground. The colony wanted to turn it into a defense system, something to protect against the Hollow in case they ever returned. But something went wrong, Aaliyah guessed. Lena nodded. The tech was alive. It couldn't be controlled, only bonded. Your father was the first human it accepted, but he wasn't the last. The system was designed to choose someone it believed could lead. Aaliyah stepped back. "Me. You," Lena said. "You're not just bonded to the weapon. You are the key." Outside, a noise broke the silence. Heavy footsteps. "They're here," Juno whispered. Lena grabbed a small device and pushed it into Aaliyah's hand. "This holds your father's final files. Go to Site 09. Everything you need is there." "Come with us," Aaliyah said. But Lena shook her head. "They'll search me. I'll buy you time." The door crashed open. Aaliyah and Juno ran through a hidden back tunnel into the waste tunnels beneath the colony. Behind them they heard shouting, a scream, then silence. They didn't stop running. In the tunnel's darkness, Juno lit the way with a small torch. "Your father tried to protect you," he said quietly. "He didn't want you to live this life." "But I am living it," Aaliyah said, "and I won't run anymore." She opened the device Lena gave her. Files blinked onto a small screen. One video began to play. Her father appeared again. This time standing in a lab filled with strange machines. "If you found this, Aaliyah, then you know the truth, and I'm sorry," he said. "We thought we could control the tech, but we were wrong. It doesn't want control, it wants connection. It chose you because of your heart, not your strength. Because you feel what others ignore. That's what makes you dangerous to them. and powerful against the hollow. The video ended, but one last line glowed on the screen. If you reach beacon site 09, prepare yourself. The weapon has only begun to awaken. Suddenly, the screen went black. A sharp ping echoed through the tunnel. Juno raised his scanner. They're tracking us. Through your DNA. Elia gripped the weapon, now glowing faintly. Then they'll find more than just us, she said. They climbed to the surface. Dusty red plains stretched for miles. Far in the distance, a black shape rose from the horizon. Giant structure half buried in Mars rock, glowing faintly. Beacon Site 09. Elia looked at it, then back at Juno. It's time we find out what's waiting inside. The enemy returns. The sun was low over the red horizon of Mars, casting long shadows across the desert plains. Elia and Juno stood before a giant half-buried structure, Beacon Site 09. The air was still but not quiet. Deep inside the ruins, something hummed. Ancient. Alive. The structure looked like it had been built by both human and alien hands. Parts of it were smooth, clean metal. Other parts looked grown, like bone or shell. It didn't belong on Mars, or maybe Mars didn't belong around it. Elia stepped forward. The weapon at her side lit up slowly, pulsing like a heartbeat. As they approached the entrance, the metal door slid open without touch or sound. Juno stared. It recognized you. I didn't do anything, Elia whispered. Exactly, he said. Inside, the air was cold. Lights blinked to life one by one, leading them down a long corridor. Symbols glowed faintly on the walls, some in human code, others in the same strange alien script she saw in her visions. They reached a central chamber. A huge platform stood in the center, with a raised circle of energy above it. Floating in the air was a metal shard, twisting, changing, humming with power. Elia felt a sharp pull in her chest. What is that? Juno asked. But before she could answer, the weapon in Elia's hand began to move. It floated upward, like it was drawn to the shard. She didn't fight it. When the weapon touched the shard, light exploded through the room. Visions hit her all at once. The hollow rising again. Ships breaking through black space. Mars burning. Her father standing before a dark queen saying, "She'll finish what I couldn't." Then she saw herself. But not as she was now. She stood tall, glowing, powerful, not holding the weapon, becoming it. The vision ended. The weapon dropped back into her hand, but now it had changed. Longer, sharper, stronger. A new voice echoed in her mind. Phase 1 complete. Symbiosis established. Elia. Juno's voice cut through the silence. She turned. Her eyes glowed, faintly for a moment, then faded. I'm fine, she said, though her heart beat fast. Something inside her was waking up. Juno pointed to a console lighting up near the wall. Data streamed across it. This isn't just a lab, he said. It's a signal tower. Your father, he wasn't just hiding the weapon. He was trying to send a warning. A warning to who? Elia asked. Juno didn't have time to answer. Alarms screamed across the chamber. Lights turned red. A hollow tone echoed through the base, low and bone deep. Then they heard it, a sound that didn't belong to Mars, like metal scraping inside bone, clicking, breathing. The hollow had arrived. Outside, the sky darkened. A small black ship hovered above Beacon Site 09, silent, like a shadow with wings. It had no windows, no engines. It simply floated, watching. And then it opened. A creature dropped down from the ship. Tall, thin, skin like stretched glass, eyes empty, hollow. Elia and Juno ran to the entrance, but it was too late. The creature was already inside. It moved without sound, like it was part of the air. Its head turned slowly toward Elia. The weapon in her hand responded instantly, glowing, bright. Ready? Juno backed away. Elia, that thing, it's not just here for a fight, it's scanning you. Elia stepped forward. Then let it see me. The hollow lunged, fast, but the weapon reacted even faster. Blue fire burst from its edge as Elia swung it. The strike hit the hollow's arm, burning through its strange flesh. The creature screamed, a sound like metal screaming. Elia felt the weapon guide her movements, like it remembered how to fight even if she didn't. But with every hit, her vision blurred. The weapon was drawing energy from her. Elia, stop! Juno shouted. You're burning yourself. She didn't stop. With one final burst, she drove the weapon through the hollow's chest. The creature collapsed, twitching, then turned to black ash. Silence. Elia dropped to her knees, breathing hard. Her hands were shaking. Her skin glowed faintly where the weapon had touched her. It's changing you, Juno said, stepping closer. Every time you use it, you're not just fighting like your father. You're becoming something else. Elia looked at her hands. She didn't feel broken. She felt awake. I can't stop now, she said. They found us too fast. They've been watching Mars. They knew the weapon would wake up. Juno opened the console again. A final file had unlocked after the fight. Elia's father appeared again. This time, standing next to the very creature she just fought, dead on a lab table. If the Hollow find her, they'll see her as a threat, or as one of their own. The weapon was made from their tech. It speaks their language, but Elia's heart will decide the rest. He paused. Tell her. She's not alone. Not yet. But when the Queen comes, she'll feel it. The screen went black. Juno looked at Elia. There's more coming, isn't there? Elia didn't answer right away. Above them, through the cracked roof, stars flickered. Then, a shadow moved across the sky, larger than anything they'd seen. The Hollow mothership had arrived, and Mars would never be the same again. The girl who became fire. The night sky above Mars was no longer still. The Hollow mothership hovered in silence, dark and enormous, blocking the stars like a giant wound in the sky. No engines, no lights. Only a constant low hum that echoed across the sands, like it was breathing. Elia and Juno stood outside Beacon Site 09 staring up at it. That's not a ship, Juno whispered. It's a city, a living city. It's here for me, Elia said, her voice flat. The weapon in her hand pulsed stronger than before. It had changed again. Now it was no longer just metal and light. It looked alive, almost like armor trying to grow along her arm. They sent a scout last time, Juno said. Now they've sent the whole swarm. Elia nodded. Because I killed it, and now they see me as a threat, or worse, a traitor. A loud vibration shook the ground. Something was falling from the mothership. Not one, dozens, hundreds, pods, each slammed into the Martian ground with a blast of dust. When the dust cleared, Hollow soldiers began to rise, taller, faster, more evolved than the scout from before. They moved like one mind, and they were heading for the colony. Director Malix stood inside the command tower, watching the sky darken. She led them here, he said quietly. The girl. She activated the weapon. His assistant looked worried. Should we evacuate? Malix shook his head. There's no escape. Not from this. Prepare the drones. And wake Protocol Red. The assistant hesitated. But sir, Protocol Red was banned. Even your scientists. I am the science now, Malix snapped. Do it. Below the colony, hidden deep under the surface, a secret project began to stir. Elia and Juno raced across the plains on stolen hoverbikes, kicking up trails of red dust. They reached the edge of the colony. People were already screaming, running, as the first wave of Hollow soldiers arrived. The colony's defense drones flew overhead, firing blasts of plasma. Some Hollow fell. Most didn't. They were learning, adapting. Elia jumped off the bike and ran straight toward the chaos. She could feel the weapon in her hand growing heavier, but it wasn't just weight. It was pressure, like it wanted more from her. "Don't go alone," Juno shouted behind her. "You're not ready." But Elia was already gone. The colony center was burning. Elia stepped into the flames. She didn't scream, didn't run. Her weapon flared with blinding light and her eyes glowed once more, brighter, fiercer. The air around her shimmered. Sparks danced across her skin like living fire. The Hollow saw her, and they paused. For the first time, they feared. One charged. Elia didn't move her weapon. She became it. A wall of flame erupted around her, swirling upward. The creature screamed as it burned, disintegrating before it could even strike. Another came, and another. Elia flew. Not with wings, not with tech. With the weapon, fully awakened now, flowing into her spine, her veins, her heartbeat. She soared through the burning skies like a comet. Every time she struck, Hollow soldiers vanished in clouds of blue ash. Below, the people of the colony stared up. They didn't see a miner's daughter anymore. They saw a legend. But power has a price. Inside her mind, Elia heard a whisper. Soft, cold, and ancient. You burn bright. But how long can fire live? She fell to one knee, panting. The weapon pulled at her energy like a hungry thing. It was not just a gift, it was a test. Elia. Juno reached her, pulling her into a shadowed hallway. "I can't keep doing this," she said, her voice hoarse. "It's too much." Then, "Stop," he said. "We'll find another way." "There is no other way." Juno looked into her eyes. "You're not a machine. You're not their symbol. You're just you. Don't let this thing turn you into something else." Elia looked at her hands, glowing faintly now, even when the weapon was silent. "What if I'm already turning?" She whispered. A loud crack echoed across the colony. Something had landed, something bigger. The queen had arrived. She didn't walk. She floated, tall and terrible, her hollow eyes burning with violet light. Her voice was not sound. It was, "Inside every mind in the colony. She holds our heart and dares to turn it against us." Elia stepped forward, the weapon rising again in her grip. "You killed my father," she said. "Your father gave himself willingly, to protect you. He knew this day would come. And now, child of fire, you will burn the stars, or be burned by them." Elia screamed and flew toward her. The queen didn't flinch. They collided, two forces of ancient power, fire against void. The battle lit the skies of Mars like a second sun. Down below, Juno watched, tears in his eyes. "She's not just fighting for us," he whispered. "She's fighting herself." The queen struck. Elia fell. The weapon shattered, not into pieces but into light, and that light flowed into her chest. Her body began to change, not in pain, but in purpose. The fire was no longer outside her. She was the fire, and she rose. Her father's final message, Mars, was burning. The sky above the colony glowed orange and black. The mothership loomed like a shadow carved from nightmare, and hollow forces covered the ground like insects, silent, endless, watching. But everything was still. In the center of the chaos, Elia stood alone, her arms glowing with the light of the weapon. It was no longer something she held. It was something she had become. But she was tired. Her face was pale, her breath heavy. Her hands trembled not from fear, but from what she had seen. She had seen into the Hollow Queen's mind, and she had seen something worse, herself, as a weapon that could destroy everything. After the battle, Juno had found her barely standing among the rubble. They hid in the ruins of an old research station, one long buried beneath the colony, where even Malix's soldiers wouldn't look. But someone else had been waiting there. A hologram flickered. On the wall, a figure stepped into the light. Her father. Not a message. A recording. A final conversation. "Elia," his voice said softly. She froze. If you're here, then it means the weapon has chosen you fully. It means I'm gone, and it means the Hollow have returned. His face was older than she remembered, more tired, more afraid. I never wanted this for you, he continued. But I couldn't stop it. You were born after the accident. After we touched the first shard of hollow tech. Elia stared, heart pounding. You weren't just born human, Elia, not fully. They changed me. I didn't know it. But the damage, it passed into you. He paused, lowering his head. I lied when I said your mother died in an accident. She tried to stop the experiments. They silenced her. Elia's knees weakened. She sat, breathing hard. They used us, he said. Used your blood to build a weapon that could link with hollow tech. They called it the Beacon. But it was never just a weapon. It was a bridge between us and them. Elia looked at her hands again. Still glowing, still not fully hers. Juno whispered, You're the only one who can connect with both sides. But if the Hollow win, Elia said quietly, they'll use me to destroy Earth. Her father's message continued. The Queen doesn't want to kill you. She wants to complete you. She sees you as her child, part of her future, part of her revenge. Elia's voice cracked. Then what do I do? The hologram of her father looked up, and for a second it almost felt like he heard her. You do what I couldn't, he said. You choose. Not as a weapon, not as a soldier, as my daughter. The final shard is still hidden. If you reach it before the Queen, you can rewrite the signal. You can turn the beacon into a shield, not a sword. Elia leaned forward. Where? The hologram glitched, then showed coordinates deep under the colony's mountain spine. A forgotten vault. Locked by DNA. Her DNA. Elia, her father said, just before the recording ended. You are the fire. But fire is not just for burning, it's also for lighting the way. And then he was gone. Juno sat beside her in silence. What are you thinking? He asked. Elia stood slowly. Her glow was dimmer now, more focused. Not rage, not confusion. Clarity. I was born from both sides, she said. And I've seen what happens when either one wins alone. She looked toward the sky. Now it's time to end this, not with destruction, with choice. But far above them the Queen watched. From her throne aboard the mothership, her hollow body pulsed with light. Her mind reached across the planet, touching everything. Drones, soldiers, even the wind. She approaches the final gate, the Queen whispered. And still she resists her purpose. A second voice answered, soft and broken. A figure stood beside the Queen. It was Malix, but not the same man. Half his face was machine now, his eyes glowing hollow blue. She's already made her choice, Malix said. She just doesn't know it yet. Deep under the mountain, Elia and Juno reached the vault. Massive metal doors stood in front of them, carved with both human numbers and alien curves. The weapon in Elia's hand lit up and the doors responded, unsealing slowly like waking from sleep. Inside, the final shard floated in a field of light. Elia stepped forward, but before she could touch it, a blast rocked the chamber. The Queen was already here. She entered without sound, floating just above the ground, arms wide. Child, she said, her voice cold. The last piece awaits. Take it. Become what you were meant to be. Elia looked at the shard. It pulsed. Then at Juno, who raised his weapon, trembling. Don't, Elia said. She'll kill you, he replied. No, the Queen said. I will set her free. Elia reached toward the shard. Juno shouted, Elia, stop. And then, her hand touched it. Light exploded. Visions. 1,000 stars. 1,000 screams. And one small clear voice in her mind. You don't have to be what they made you. Ilia's voice. Not the Queen's. Not the weapons. Hers. She stepped back. From the shard. The weapon flared in her hands. I choose to finish what my father started, she said. Not to fight, but to end the war. The queen screamed, a sound of broken glass and fire, but it was too late. Ilia raised the weapon, now glowing with both light and dark. She wasn't hollow. She wasn't human. She was herself. And she was ready. The one who was chosen, the ground, shook beneath Mars. Deep in the mountain vault where the final shard had awakened, Ilia stood between two worlds. Behind her, Juno was yelling her name, begging her not to give in. In front of her, the hollow queen floated, calm, powerful, patient, not with hatred, not even with anger, but with expectation. You are what we built, the queen said. You are our voice, our fire. You belong with us. Ilia's hands trembled. The final shard had fused into the weapon. It now pulsed through her entire body. Every nerve lit like lightning. She could feel it. The memories of her father, the pain of her mother, the screams of the dying colony above, and the silence between stars. For one moment, she was everything. Outside, the mothership opened its core. A tower of dark light reached into the sky. Hollow soldiers gathered in rows. Drones hovered. The entire army stood still, waiting for the queen's signal. They didn't attack. They waited for Ilia's choice. Because this was never about war. It was about control. Back in the vault, the queen stepped forward. Your father feared you'd be like me, but you're already more. Why suffer for a world that only lied to you? Betrayed you? Used you? Ilia said nothing. The weapon in her hand burned hotter. Above, Director Malix watched the sky from a control room. Half man, half machine. Part of the hive now. If she joins the queen, he whispered, the universe will kneel. He smiled. Ilia looked at Juno. His eyes were wide, afraid, hopeful. You said I was changing, she whispered. You were right, but not into them. She turned to the queen, and not into you. Then what are you? The queen asked, her voice echoing like a storm. Ilia raised the weapon. It didn't shake. It glowed steady, clear, focused. I'm not a weapon, not a key, not a queen. I'm the answer to all of you. And my answer is no, the queen screamed. The hollow surged and the battle began. It was not a fight between armies. It was a fight between two forces of will. The queen, her body shifting like liquid metal, struck with waves of shadow. Ilia flew. Not with engines, not with wings, but with the gravity of purpose. Every motion of her blade sliced through sound and light. The weapon no longer protected her. It obeyed her. But the queen was ancient. Every strike from Ilia met a counterstrike of perfect darkness. Cities above crumbled. Mountains cracked. Lightning split the sky. Juno joined the fight, firing from the cliffs. Colonists, even Malix's broken soldiers, turned on their hollow masters and fought back. The colony didn't run anymore. They believed. Ilia's body glowed with white fire now, but her face was calm, not angry, not afraid. In the heart of the chaos, she looked into the queen's hollow eyes. You lost before this even began, Ilia whispered. How? The queen hissed. Because you think power means control. But real power, she raised the weapon, now just light in her palm, means letting go. And then Ilia did the impossible. She released the weapon. Let it fly, let it burn. Let it become what it was always meant to be. The energy spread across the battlefield, blinding, beautiful, warm. The weapon shattered in the air. Not in pieces, but in freedom. A wave of light exploded outward. Hollow soldiers dropped their weapons. Drones froze mid-air. The queen screamed once more, but this time not in rage, in fear. Her link was breaking. Her army was falling apart because the beacon, the weapon, had sent a new signal not to fight, not to conquer, but to wake. Across the galaxy, hollow minds felt it. A spark, a memory, a choice. The queen faded, her body turning to dust. Ilia fell to her knees. Juno caught her. Her eyes were dim now, skin cracked with energy burns. Her strength was nearly gone. You did it, Juno whispered. She smiled. No, we did. The sky cleared. The mothership retreated, not destroyed, not conquered, but changed. Days later, the colony stood silent, half in ruins, but half still standing. The people had seen what fire could do, what hope could do. Ilia had disappeared after the final light wave. No one saw where she went, but legends grew. They say her light still burns high above Mars, a glow that never fades. Not a weapon, not a queen, but a beacon, guiding those who choose to fight not with rage, but with heart. Die. And